Hello, my name is Beth Callistad, and I'm a planner in MnDOT's Office of Sustainability and Public Health. I provide project management for MnDOT's implementation of the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, also known as NEVI. As we are getting close to releasing the request for proposals for this program, we've been receiving a lot of questions, so we wanted to provide an update to any interested parties. The topics we will be covering today include the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program Basics, the 2023 Minnesota Legislative Session, MnDOT's procurement approach, and our grants webpage. The information being presented today is correct to the best of MnDOT's knowledge at this time. As this is a new program with many unknowns, the timelines and process approach may shift. MnDOT will provide updates through the project website and via emails through the project listserv if changes occur. We will begin with a quick review of the basics of the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. The NEVI program was created as part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, also known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, that was adopted by Congress in November 2021. Its purpose is the development of a convenient, affordable, reliable, and equitable public charging network. The NEVI program is providing funds to states to install direct current fast chargers, also known as DCFCs, along designated corridors in Minnesota. The two alternative fuel corridors in Minnesota are Interstate 94 and Interstate 35. We will also eventually be able to work on other roadways as well. These NEVI formula program funds are primarily about building out this alternative fuel corridors network across the states to allow for long-distance travel. MnDOT's first round of funding will focus on building out NEVI-compliant chargers along our two existing alternative fuel corridors, I-94 and 35. Some of the basics of what build-out means are the charging stations must be DC fast chargers, located no more than 50 miles apart along those roadways, located less than a mile driving distance from the alternative fuel corridor exit, and there must be a minimum of 4 150 kilowatt fast charging ports at each site. Something unique about this program is that MnDOT is not going to own, operate, or maintain the stations, and they will not be located in our right-of-way. We are looking to third parties who will be able to do this owning, operating, and maintaining of the stations for a period of 5 years. After the 5 years, the stations may still continue to be operated, but federal funding will not be provided. Now I'll share some updates from the 2023 Minnesota Legislative Session that relate to this work. In May 2023, the legislature directed MnDOT to establish the Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program that includes NEVI and is also broader. It gave MnDOT the statutory authority to contract that we needed for the NEVI program. We are moving forward with a grant approach for NEVI and developing the Site Application Request for Proposal, or RFP. The legislature also included program requirement language around qualified technicians that reiterates the NEVI role and included some language about Minnesota prevailing wage rules. They established a report to the legislature every even-numbered year on aspects of the program. In addition to the program authority, the legislature allocated state funds to MnDOT to be used to match the NEVI program and potentially for other electric vehicle infrastructure, and to support the newly created Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. The funds are provided in state fiscal years 24 and 25 and available through June 30th, 2027. MnDOT is planning to provide a portion of these funds as match on this first round of NEVI sites and is finalizing details on what that will be. Detailed information will be included in the request for proposals. MnDOT will be using a competitive grant approach and issuing a request for proposals soon. We are going to spend a few minutes talking about some of the work we've done this summer to inform what that approach will look like, and then moving into how to get ready to apply. For the first round of NEVI investments, MnDOT is looking to award funds to build out 18 locations along I-94 and I-35. The 2022 plan had 15 clusters. In our 2023 plan update to FHWA, we made some modifications to locations to ensure that any exit chosen would meet the 50-mile distance in the final rule. There are a total of 18 clusters of locations and 57 exits. During the competitive site application process, we'll be looking for proposals from third-party entities within these exit areas. MnDOT has an online mapping tool, the link can be found on the grant's webpage, that is available for interested parties to review. This mapping tool has information about the potential areas for location sites and data layers such as driving distances, existing stations, Justice 40 disadvantaged communities, historic points, water, wetlands, floodplain, electric utilities, and more. Since being given the go-ahead from the legislature in May, MnDOT staff and our consultants have been reviewing a series of procurement-related decisions to put parameters around this program and inform the request for proposal for the first round of sites. The RFP will include the content areas shown on this slide: program requirements, match requirements, eligible and ineligible expenses, site and technical requirements, desired site amenities, draft terms and conditions, application process and timeline, scoring criteria, and evaluation and award process. This slide is our estimated timeline and process approach. I'll now highlight a few items. Some modifications to process steps and timeline have occurred since our last update webinar in October 2022. Some additional conversation was held with FHWA, and MnDOT moved the federal authorization timing. This will allow grantees to request reimbursement for preliminary engineering work. Once the RFP is posted, MnDOT is planning a 60-day application window. We will do a webinar right before to share information. We'll also have a Q&A period for written submittal of questions, and we'll post responses to all questions within the first 30 days of the application being available. As previously noted, MnDOT plans to select 18 locations, one in each cluster. FHWA authorization and signed grant agreement contracts are required before grantees can request reimbursement on any work from MnDOT. Grantees should not incur any costs until the grant contract is completed with MnDOT. MnDOT will be hiring a consultant to assist with National Environmental Policy Act or NEPA documentation. However, it is expected that grantees will provide necessary documentation and site access. This will be included in the grant contract. MnDOT will be including notice to proceed language in the contract, and grantees will be required to have approval from MnDOT to move through each step of the preliminary engineering, construction, and operation and maintenance work. The speed that we are able to move through the grant agreement development and preliminary engineering work will be influenced by how ready applicants are at the start of the project. We will be providing a guidance document and draft contract language as part of the RFP announcement. Let's now talk about steps to take to get ready. MnDOT has created a grants webpage that will be the location for the RFP posting and other related information about this program. We'll still use our Let's Talk Transportation EV Infrastructure Plan page when we need to do surveys or engagement in the future. This is a screenshot of the top of the webpage. As you can see, there is a Connect with Us, sign up for email updates on the right sidebar. This is the same link as the one we'll be using on the Let's Talk Transportation page, so no need to register again. If you scroll down on this page, you'll see a section on how to get ready, and we'll talk about that next. While you're waiting for the request for proposal to be released, there is plenty to do. All of these steps are very important, but especially understanding the rule requirements, ensuring power supply, and possible supply chain issues that could hold up the project should be top priorities. The more you are able to figure this out now, the better your application will be and the faster the preliminary engineering will go if your site is selected. We'll now walk through the steps. Step 1 is to get familiar with the NEVI program. Read the Federal Highway Administration EV Charging Minimum Standards Final Rule and resources on the FHWA NEVI program website. Read the Minnesota Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Plan. Links are provided on our grants webpage. If you've not done this step, please go back and do it. It is very important. Step 2 is to put together a team. We'll be looking for a team approach to site applications to include partners for owning the site, design, installation, operation and maintenance, charging station vendors, and others. If you need to find interested partners, consider the list of fast charging interested partners also on the webpage. Step 3. Select site and assess site readiness. Review the potential clusters and exits that MnDOT has identified and that will be included in the request for proposal for Round 1 of NEVI investments on the online mapping tool. The link is provided on the grants webpage. Step 4 is to coordinate with utilities. Contact the utility for the location that you are interested in. Utility contact information can be found on the online mapping tool or by visiting the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission Electric Service Area Maps page. Again, links are provided on our NEVI grants page. The location must have enough power to operate at least 4 150 kilowatt charging ports at the same time for a total of at least 600 kilowatts. Step 5 is to coordinate with zoning and permitting authorities. Contact the zoning and permitting authorities for the potential site locations to verify EV charging stations are an allowable use and to understand the permitting process. Where available, information on links to the applicable zoning and permitting has been included as a data layer in the online mapping tool. Step 6 is to register for a unique entity ID EUI number. This is required for receipt of federal funds. They're issued through Federal Contracting Services. It's also known as a SAMS number. During the webinar held on September 18, 2023, MnDOT took questions from attendees. Those questions and answers are provided as a resource on the NEVI Grants webpage. Thank you for your time and interest in this program. If you have additional questions, feel free to email me directly and stay tuned for more email updates on anticipated date of RFP release.